Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today is another trying to fix video. We have this little ASUS notebook. Quite a nice looking thing, but it's quite underpowered apparently, according to the original owner, Chris. So it's partially working. If you have a look here, if I press on, you will see that it does come up to here, but the trackpad down here is not working, the keyboard's not working, and if I unplug this one here, it will die completely. So it doesn't work on the battery whatsoever, doesn't even attempt to charge. So it's been water damaged. It was sent in by a viewer called Chris to my PO box. I wasn't expecting it, it just turned up, and it says, "Hello Vince, my name is Chris and I'm a long-term viewer from Scotland. I love your videos, I've been watching since the Mr. Telephone days," so that's back in 2014, "and that inspired me to learn about all things networking. I can't thank you enough for the hours of great content. I hope you don't mind that I've sent you a couple of faulty items." No, of course I don't mind, Chris. "Feel free to use them for parts or something else. Obviously I'm not expecting anything back or any videos." It's very kind of you. "Enjoy the brew and keep up the great videos." Brew, Scotland, it can only be Iron Brew. So thanks very much for that, Chris. But this is it here. So it's an EeeBook X205TA, and it says this is a very low-end notebook which I brought new in 2016. We managed to get a couple of years use out of it until unfortunately my father spilt a cup of tea on it. I immediately turned it off, took off the cover and disconnected the battery to clean the board with IPA. There were a few corroded spots, but unfortunately the IPA has cleaned off any clues for the affected area. Weirdly, the charger makes a real humming noise until you actually turn it on. If the charger's not doing anything, it hums, hence the reason I just turned it on again. The laptop will only work when connected to the charger, and the trackpad doesn't work. Everything else seems to work okay. I'm not sure about the condition of the keyboard, so the keyboard's not working either. And it just goes on to say that it actually was shipped with Windows 10, but it's got so little memory on it that it struggles, basically. But still, whether it struggles or not, it would be nice to see if we can get it working. So, the Iron Brew. Oh, look at that. Right, let's get it over to the blue mat, take it apart, and let's see if we can find out what's going on. So we have numerous screws around the back. Some of them are already missing. They look like little crosshead screws. And this gives me the perfect opportunity to thank the MyMate Vince Massive, which consists of Operational 117, KitDigital.com, Kip Hakes, Max Rokotansky, Having Fun Repairs, Ellensburg Amplifier Repair and Service, Will Michaelis, Chris Seal, the MyMate Vince Fan Club, woo, Dorian from Hooverlux Restorations, MediaSteamer.com, Rob Hughes, Felipe at MrKeebs.com, Dan Prutton, and Daniel Hyam. Right, so I can see a bit of evidence left over here and also down the battery here. Right, okay, so the battery should be 7.6 volts, but it's not doing anything. So I'll tell you what, let's get our multimeter and see if there's any charge in the battery at all. No. Let's pop that out. No, the battery's completely depleted. Okay, let's plug it back in and plug in the charger and see if the battery voltage jumps up at all. Right, let's see now. Any indication lights or anything coming on? Oh, we have got a little light down here. Just there. Okay. But it doesn't seem to be any charge going over to the battery. Right, how am I going to fault find this now? I suppose the first thing to do is let's zoom in and have a real close look. I can see, oh, so this must be the RAM here. I think he said it's got 2 gigabytes of RAM. Let's have a look. It's probably beyond economical repair, but it might make an interesting or painful fault finding video, possibly. It's only got 2 gigabytes of RAM and a 32 gigabytes SSD. Now that doesn't look too happy there, but that's going to be for the, I presume, the Wi-Fi. This connector's just going off to feed the ports at the side. I wonder, are they the 2 initial MOSFETs, you know, that determine whether it's being charged via the battery or via the charger? Maybe that's them 2 there. It is, isn't it? Look, it comes in from here. That's going to be the positive here. Comes down here, goes through there. Yeah, so we can check for voltages here, can't we? Possible damage there. I wonder, would this be for the trackpad? Do you know what? I'm going to look forward to doing this one. Water damage there. And down here as well. Bit here. Quite a bit around this area. Yeah, right, well, I mean, the tiny little bit of testing I did earlier, it does appear to work okay. I went onto YouTube and stuff like that, and yeah, okay, it's not fast, but it is still usable. Remember, this was sold in 2016. It's not actually that old. So, how are we going to, what should we do to begin with? Shall we plug this back in, and shall we plug in the charger, and shall we have a mess around on these little MOSFETs here and see what they're doing? Oh, here we go, 19 volts. So it's 19 volts there from the charger. Let's zoom in. Have we got anything on the gate here? 2.7. So what we got here? 2.7. So does that suggest why it's not charging here? Yeah, so we've got 2.7. Oh, hold on a minute. 2.7 volts going into the battery. Let's see if that's going to rise up. Maybe because the battery's so depleted it will have to start very low. No, it's not going up, is it? Well, let's unplug it from the charger. Let's unplug the battery as well. Let's see what resistance we've got between the terminals on the battery. Well, there's no short there, is there? But it is turning on. Right, maybe we should forget about the battery side of it at the moment. I mean, could it be as simple as that this has just dropped below the safe voltage and now it's not going to charge up because it thinks that the battery is faulty because it's below the safe voltage. I wonder if we can actually physically put some voltage into this to get it above the safe level. Let's turn our attention to what I think is going to be the ribbon cable, this one here. Or I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's take out the battery and then we can fully see if this is the cable to the keyboard. See, the charging circuit in here might not necessarily be faulty. It just might be that the battery is completely discharged. Okay, so the touchpad's going here. That looks a little bit iffy. No, it looks okay. So let's look at this keyboard. Whoops. Now, did I do that or was that already loose? Is that why it's not making the connection properly? That's the little lid that forces the pressure down on here. That all looks very clean as well. Now, annoyingly, the keyboard is riveted down or plastic welded down, so that's not really going to be an option to easily replace, is it? Let's have a look at the other side of this touchpad cable. Well, there's a few little bits of leftover stuff in there. I think what I'm going to quickly do is just to rule it out. I'm going to get some isopropyl alcohol and I'm just going to clean up the connection here, here and here. Just in case, it's as simple as that. Wow, that had to be the easiest one to ever put back in. Do you know what? I think the clips at the end of that might have broken. I'm not sure though. Anyway, let's open it up and let's give it a clean in here, here and here. While I've got the IPA out, I'm just going to clean around here because it's quite corroded just here. I'm just going to connect it all up again and see if we've got anything different. So I'll start filming again once I've got the answer to that. Right, touchpad's still not working. And it doesn't look like the keyboard's working either. But it does shut down when we close the lid. Right, let's see if anything is getting warm. No. Not on this side anyway. Now I wonder, could it be something which is knocking out the touchpad and the keyboard? So let's disconnect the keyboard. That comes off really easy, that. Well, let's see if the touchpad's going to work now. No. Just plug the battery back in, see if that's doing anything different. No, it's still showing as not charging down here. Right, now let's disconnect the touchpad in case that's putting an issue on something. No. So I suppose what we're going to have to do is... Actually, let me shut it down properly. I think we should take out the board completely and see what's happening on the other side, just in case there's a load of corrosion. Right, so I can see damage here, so where does that correspond to? Around this area. I can't see anything obviously wrong on this side. So for example, is the keyboard not working and the trackpad not working because they're faulty, or is it a fault on the board? This is the problem. Is the battery not working because of the fault on the board, or is the battery itself below too low to charge? So I've been just looking through the microscope really closely at it, and yeah, I mean there is evidence of corrosion on quite a few of the chips, but it doesn't look very bad. But what I have been doing is I've just been scraping in between the legs, just in case there was a bit of corrosion causing some conductivity between the legs. So I've done that, and then I've just been cleaning it with IPA as I go along. Now I'm going to pop it in the ultrasonic cleaner. I'm just going to clean off the thermal paste from these chips, pop it in the ultrasonic cleaner. I'll probably do 3 or 4 minutes each side, and then we'll test it again, see if anything has changed. So here's the ultrasonic cleaner. I'm just going to put it in for 4 minutes each side and see if that's going to make any difference. Hope I don't end up damaging the board, because right now I'm not even convinced the board is faulty. It's just the trackpad itself looks perfect. Right, start it up. And once that's done, I'm going to turn it over and do the other side for 4 minutes. So it's had 4 minutes each side with the ultrasonic cleaner. So now I'm going to cover it in IPA. and then I've got to make sure it's completely dry. So in the ultrasonic cleaner there's deionized water and also a PCB cleaner. Let's give it a little IPA bath now. Right, that's completely submerged in there, so I'm just going to agitate it around for a bit. Hopefully that will get underneath the chips and stuff and then clean out the ultrasonic cleaner fluid. Then we can dry it off again. I might use a bit of hot air on it, and yeah, we'll plug it in, see if it makes any difference. It appears to be all dry now, so let's see if it's going to make any difference now. I haven't got any thermal compounds on the chips on the other side. Right, so we've still just got the green light here, so it's definitely still not charging. Let's see at least if it's going to be turning on now. No, not turning on. Let's make sure this is definitely in. Well, it is completely dead right now. I feel like I'm fighting a losing battle. I thought originally I would be able to get this fixed, but on my mind was thinking, is it the board at fault or is it the touchpad, keyboard and battery? But since putting the board into the ultrasonic cleaner, I can't get it to turn on whatsoever. There's definitely voltage going into the board because I can measure 19 volts down here. And that's, of course, it hasn't dried properly underneath the chips. That is possible. So I think I'm going to add the hot air to it again just to try to dry it out a bit more, and then I'll try again. Good news, it's back on again. So what I did is I took the board out and I just gently heated it up again at 200 degrees Celsius. And when I went by the main CPU, I did actually hear a tiny little crackling. So I think maybe there was some water trapped underneath there, and by using the heat, maybe it got right the way under the chip and dispersed it out. Either deionized water or possibly IPA. But anyway, since I did that, it could be coincidence, but it's working now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mess about on here for a while, watch a couple of YouTube videos and stuff, just to make sure that everything is heated up on the inside and working properly. I haven't got any thermal... Yeah, it's getting warm now. I haven't got any thermal paste on it, but if it overheats, then it should just shut itself down anyway. I don't want to turn it off now in case it doesn't turn on again, and then I'm going to think, is it to do with lack of heat in there? Restart or repair drive errors. Interesting. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'll get back to this probably in about half an hour or so after I've watched a couple of YouTube videos. By then, the chip should be nice and warm, so it will hopefully have got rid of any trapped IPA or anything underneath there. But I'm happy now. I think I'm back to where I was at the beginning. So this video at this moment in time isn't really going anywhere, but at least it hasn't gone backwards right now. Luckily, we're back to where we were. It's working every time now. I think what I'm going to do is disconnect everything. I think I'm going to take the board out and I'm just going to go around and check for any shorts on any capacitors. That might indicate that one of the chips is faulty, and then we'll have something to go on. I'm just setting my meter to continuity, and I'm just going to put one of the probes in here, and let's go across some of the chips. Now, if I find a capacitor that's shorted on both sides, it may indicate that the chip that is connected to has internally shorted. So I'm not getting anywhere here, so I'm going to turn my attention just to do one thing at a time. So I'm now going to start looking into why this keyboard isn't working. Right now, this is bringing me back memories of that little MSI keyboard I did. So look, I'll be just roughly going across here. I haven't worked anything out yet, but if I go to here, I've seen that it was coming up down here, which is then going into this chip here. And now look, if I go to the next one, it's coming up here. Next one here. So it looks like it's all going to this chip. So I'm just going to go through them all and see if they're all coming up here. I mean, this chip definitely had a bit of corrosion around it. But now I might be able to work out what's what. In fact, I might be able to just get a pin out for this online, and then it might tell me, and if I can short some of them together, because that's all that's happening, isn't it? When you're pressing the buttons down, you're just shorting different like matrices along. So for example, like I said in that video, if you have 4 here and 4 here, you can have up to 16 combinations, because this will be going to one of the pins, and then you can have 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can have 4 buttons on that. Again, this one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, all along that there. Likewise with this one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So yeah, I'm just going to do a bit of research into here, see if I can get a pin out and see if all of these are getting here. If 1 or 2 are not, that would be fantastic, because then I might be able to find a broken trace or something somewhere. Right, so that's the chip there, IT8568E, and unfortunately I can't find any data sheet on it. I've got people selling it, but I can't find any actual pin out. It says here that it's power management for Lenovo, so I presume it's going to be used in loads of different laptops. So, but I mean, that's definitely the thing that's dealing with the signals from the keyboard. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug it back in, and I need to turn it on. And then I think I'm going to go across here to see what voltages we have. Because what I don't want, oh actually I'm going to go across here without the keyboard plugged in and see what voltages we have. Because what I don't want to do is, I don't want to put, if there's 3 volts going into here, I don't want to put that onto another one. But if there's 2 or 3 of them with nothing on, I might try shorting them out with some tweezers and see if that's the same as doing button presses. Just in case, I mean, the chances are the keyboard is going to be faulty if it's had T-port on it. But I don't actually know that, do I? It could be something on the board which shorted, not necessarily via the keyboard. So yeah, let me put it back together. Just want to make sure that's a good ground. Yeah, there we go. Right, let's go across some of these and see if anything's coming up. 1.2 volts. 1.2. They're all 1.2 at the moment, aren't they? Hopefully I'll find one which is not, and then I can short that between this and the other ones. No, they're all measuring exactly the same. That's really, really annoying. Right, let's go to, just going to go to keyboard checker. Start shorting some pins. Right, I'm going to turn this one off. I hope this doesn't cause problems. Now I really don't know what to short, so I'm just going to randomly hit a few and hopefully we'll hear something. Right, nothing's coming up. Now, let's pull this out here. I mean, these are just going to be, mind you, they're not direct shorts, it's going via carbon, so there might be like a 100 ohm difference and stuff. Maybe I should get a 100 ohm resistor. Right, that will do, 120 ohm. Let's try that. The reason I'm doing this is to try to get the resistor to mimic the carbon traces that are already on the keyboard. and then because it's like a matrix, when two of those, when you hit a switch on a keyboard, all it's doing is connecting up two different tracks. So by just randomly going across all different ones, eventually I should hit a button combination which is going to work. The reason I'm doing this is because I don't know, because I haven't got a spare one of these, whether or not the keyboard itself is at fault or it's a problem on the board. If I do this and I start seeing key inputs, then we know pretty much 100% that the fault is on the keyboard itself. So water might have got into the membrane and caused problems. If nothing happens here, that could suggest that the fault is on the board and not the actual keyboard, on the printed circuit board itself or a chip, rather than the actual keyboard. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Well, I can't be sure, but I don't think it's a problem with the actual keyboard. And I wonder, is it normal to have 1.2 volts on all of them? I don't think I'm going to be able to get this one fixed. So it's about time something went right on this fix here, and at long last I do have the trackpad working, but I don't know what I've done to fix it, so I'll explain what I did. I checked out the little button at the bottom where it clicks in, you know, the left and right click is just on the one button. That's working fine on the multimeter, so that was never an issue. But the ribbon cable was ever so slightly tarnished. It didn't look bad, but it was a little bit tarnished, so I cut it back by about 1 or 2 millimeters. So when the connector clamps down onto the ribbon cable, it's clamping down onto a newer bit that it hadn't been previously on before. I also cleaned out the connector with IPA. Remember, I put the whole board in the ultrasonic cleaner. Maybe that could have fixed it. Or it could have been as simple as driver related, because when I deleted it and then turned it back on again, all of a sudden it came to life. So it could be any one of those things, but at long last we do have the trackpad working, which is good. The problem is the keyboard and the battery, and I don't know how to fault find this any further. Don't worry, you're not seeing double. That's right, I bought another one. I tried to fault find it. I couldn't find whether the fault was on the battery, the keyboard or the board. So I bought another one for £16 plus £6.50 postage, so £22.50 in total. And guess what? The keyboard on the original 41 is fine. The battery on both of them are not doing anything. Doesn't matter how I swap them around. One says that it's fully charged, but it's completely dead. The other one's stuck at 15% and not charging. Now, I've been looking at the keyboard, so obviously the keyboard problem is to do with the board here. And when I go across to good board, it's all reading tiny voltages. Like it's all reading zeros, and then these ones here have 1.76 volts from pin 12 to pin 19. It's making complete sense on the working one. It's all zeros, and then there's a cluster of voltage in the middle at 1.77 volts, and then zeros again. When I short between one of the 1.7s with my tweezers and the other pins, it's coming up with numbers on the display. So when I'm shorting them like from there and here and over here, it's coming up with different digits. That is not happening on this one. Interestingly though, all of these go back to this chip here, don't they? And when I measure the voltages on the chip, there's 4 kind of bigger pads, let's call them, bigger traces feeding this chip, and they're all measuring 1.8 volts on the faulty and the good one. So it looks like the chip is getting the correct voltage, so I think the chip is faulty. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to use some hot air. I'm going to take the chip off. We do know that there was water damage around this area, particularly around here, and this chip was also corroded. Maybe underneath there's some damage that I can't see. So I'm going to take the chip off and see what it does. Unfortunately, that looks absolutely perfect, but it was nice and easy to come off, so I'm going to take the chip off the other board and see if the keyboard livens up. So by swapping them over, I know 100% then if the chip's faulty. So that's the good chips soldered on there, and they all look nice. There's no bridges between any of them. So let's pop this back in, and now let's see if the keyboard is going to work. Right, here goes. What are you thinking? I'm thinking yes, I think it is that chip at fault. Here goes. Come on now. No! No. It's not working. What? I was sure that was going to work. Now, let me just check my soldering. This is weird though, I haven't checked my soldering yet, but look, the battery is now at long last being recognised, because beforehand it said not plugged in. And now it says 15% available plugged in. It said not plugged in before. Is that chip to do with the battery as well as the keyboard? Looks like it might be. It is working, look. I just had to go into Device Manager and then get rid of this one here. I got rid of this one here. This I2C HID device, because it had a warning triangle next to it, and then I just uninstalled it and then clicked on scan hardware again, and now look, it's coming up. Excellent. Right, let's do the keyboard tester. So it was that chip. It's just that maybe, I don't know, maybe it needed to detect it or something. The drivers for it or something, maybe. Fantastic. Let's see if they're all working. Yeah, that's all working. Every button's working. So now it's just a battery thing. Let's see if it's gone up from 15%. I still think the battery's faulty. At least it's recognising it now. Yeah, 15% available, plugged in. It does say plugged in. Well, I am going to turn this off for a bit and just leave it plugged in just to see, because we have got the orange light here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the chip in the other board just to 100% make sure that it's not working in that one. Right, so I've got the chip soldered back in, and this is interesting. So the battery thing down here says no battery is detected, just like the original fault. So obviously that chip isn't just a keyboard, that chip is related to the battery as well. And have a look here, when I go in here, keyboard's not working. Obviously this keyboard is working here, that's how I can actually get into it. But that's not working. And look here, I2C HID device has a little triangle on it again. Hopefully you can just see that there, that little triangle just there. So I'm going to right click, uninstall device, and now I'm going to go up here, scan for it. Let's see what happens this time. No, see, triangle there again. So 100% that chip is faulty. Because last time I did that, it came to life then. Yeah, so it looks like it's under that one there. Right, okay, there's nothing I can do about that. So I will just have a look online, see if those chips are available for sale. And I need to look into a battery as well, because I believe that there might be a problem. I think I think both batteries are faulty. Well, saying that, I haven't let the other one charge up yet. I'm going to let the other one charge up because I had to take the charger for here, and then if it still doesn't do anything in 1 hour, I think I might price up another battery. But slowly we are getting there. So this battery thing's definitely strange, because right now I've unplugged the battery completely and it's still coming up with 14% plugged in. So whether the battery's in or out, and I restarted it again with the battery out, it's still coming up as plugged in 14%. So not quite sure what is going on with that one there. I think unfortunately I'll have to buy a new battery, because I don't think I'm going to be able to revive either of these batteries, because the fault on the one I got from eBay looks like it's purely a battery fault. Everything else on it appears to be working. So I think I actually need to buy 2 batteries, one for this and one for the other one, to get them both up and running fully. So I decided to buy a new replacement battery off eBay. I've only gone for the one for the moment. If it works in both of them, then I might well get another battery for the eBay one as well. Now, the eBay one needs a keyboard chip, so I had to buy some of them as well. So I bought 5 of them from AliExpress, the IT8568E chips, and they came in at around about £16, including the delivery. So that's not too bad, but they're going to take over a month probably to arrive. So I was curious as to whether or not the old 240 batteries could be kickstarted if they had dropped below their safe charging level. So I did this all outside because once they've dropped below the safe charging level, it's no longer safe to charge them. They could go up in flames. And what I did is I peeled back the foil to expose the cells on the inside. I used my little TP4056 lithium charger and I just put it on each individual cell, and I tried to do it balanced. So I would do one for a few minutes, then bring it over to the other one and do it a few minutes to build up the voltage. They were really low. They were down to 1 point something volts, and I did actually manage to get them up to 3 point something volts. I didn't want to take them any further than that because I didn't want them to go up in flames even though it was outside. When I put it back into the laptop, I was hoping when they were both measuring over 3 volts that the laptop then might take over and start charging them. But no, they behaved in the exact same way that they did before, and that was on both of them, even though I got all of the cells in both batteries up above 3 volts. So I'm not sure if there's an actual problem with the board on the batteries themselves, or maybe there's still a problem with the laptops. I'm not going to know that until I get the replacement battery. So hopefully next time you see this, I will have that replacement battery, and then we will, fingers crossed, have this little laptop fully working again. Oh, at long last, I'm finished, and it's working. The battery is working. So right now I've got it plugged in, and if you have a look, you can see there that we have the charging icon, and it should tell me how long's left. There you go, until full charge. And now if I unplug it, it will say on battery. And if I was to go down to here, it should tell me the percentage. There you go, 45% remaining. So, what was wrong with this one? Trackpad, still not too sure. I think the trackpad might have been software related, or if not, it was ribbon cable related. Keyboard was definitely 100% to do with that chip. That chip is also something to do with the battery as well, because when I've put this good battery into the other one, it's still saying battery not detected. So that chip needed replacing, and the battery needed replacing. Strange thing about the battery is the other two look immaculate. And I've put power into the cells, so you think now when it's holding that sort of power that it would overcome the safe limit and the laptop would start charging it again, but that's not the case. So on this one it needed quite a bit of work. I found this very challenging. I wouldn't have been able to fix this if I didn't buy the second one to basically do the testing to find out exactly what was wrong with this one. But yeah, it was challenging, but it's nice that it's working now. And although, yes, it is underpowered, it works fine for the internet. So, for example, if I'm just doing my browsing around and going onto YouTube, it works quite nice. Volume and stuff is nice. So here we have the YouTube Fixers, one of my new videos, and have a listen.
Hi, my name's Vince.
So it looks fine.
YouTube Fixers, Series 1, Episode 1. So this series is going to bring you YouTubers from all around the world doing what they do best.
Takes quite a while to go to full screen and then back to normal again. Do you see? And I suppose that's because it's underpowered. But the screen and stuff looks okay, and the main thing is it's super light. It said on the other one under 1 kilogram, so it really is very, very light. I'm happy with it. So massive thanks to Chris for sending that in. I wasn't expecting it, and it was a nice little surprise. So there's only really one thing left for me to do, and that's to finish off my iron brew. It's been years since I've had this. I've already had a big swig. As soon as you open it, you have that distinctive smell and taste that doesn't really, you can't describe it. It's really, really unusual, but tasty. So big thumbs up, Chris. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody else that stayed to the end of the video and watched it. And I will see you hopefully very soon. Take care, everyone.
Bubblegum fights on the 3rd floor. Comedy specials at 8. Fishing rod and a quiet fear. And what I And all of these moments they add up to something that feels so big. And all that I'm left with's a dry throat. I lose my head when you call me up and ask if I'm